I have had to fight tooth and nail for everything that I have today. I've been a homemaker for 10 years now without stopping, and I have now a peaceful home. I have a child who is very successful. He's 17 now, and I have a marriage that's thriving. I've been married for 24 years. If that sounds like something that you want as well, I hope you stick around and you'll look at the content that I create, because I really want to help women who are stay-at-home moms or who are trying to become stay-at-home moms to have success at home. That's what's most important to me. And I had to fight for everything that I have today. It didn't come easily to me. It wasn't my plan to be a stay-at-home mom. I got pregnant when I was in the middle of my first job. That happened 18 years ago. So it was not planned, but I did not think that working and raising a child would be the best choice for us as a family. If you are a working woman now, and you are going to make that transition, you need to start thinking about it now, because it is a very difficult transition. It was difficult for me. It was interesting to see back then how I went from being very structured in a corporate environment. I used to be in human resources, and then moving to being at home with my son who was a newborn. It was very different. But there are ways to make it the best that it can be, and that's what I'm here to teach. So I have some notes here. You need to think about this transition that you're going through. You need to think about what it means to you, what you want to accomplish, what kind of home do you want to create. It's important to think about that now and to put the systems in place that will allow you to get there. It's very interesting to see how many women who have different personalities go into staying at home. There are those of us who are very structured, as I was, and others who are more fly by the seat of your pants. So it's something to pay attention to. What do you tend to be like? Because home life can be chaotic, and if you don't pay attention, then you're going to be in that chaos. And there's no reason to be like that. You can be a successful stay-at-home mom, but there are certain things that you need to do every day. There has to be a routine. Just like when you have a job, you need to have a routine in your job if you're going to be good at it. It's the same thing at home, but you need to be disciplined. And I used to struggle a lot with that. So now I don't anymore. Now life is easy because I put in the work when I'm supposed to put in the work. So this video will help you with your mindset. It will help you to think about the kind of homemaker that you want to be. And that's point number one. What are you trying to create? What kind of home are you trying to create? What do you want for your children? I happen to think that working outside of the home and raising children is extremely difficult. Even if you have a partner who helps, if you have a husband and he's right there with you and he's helping you with all of your chores, it is exhausting to come home from work every night and have to do work at home and have to put the children to bed and have to spend time with them, the only time that you're going to have every day with them. And it's very difficult to change your mindset from being at work to being at home. And if you're already a stay-at-home mom, what do you do all day? So that's a change in mindset that needs to happen. You need to be intentional about what you're trying to create, about the kind of home that you want to have. I have always been the type that would want to cook from scratch every day and clean my own house, and I tried to have help, but that never worked out well for me. They never did what they were supposed to do, and it was just so frustrating that I'm like, no, I'm going to clean my house myself. And I've been doing that for about 7 years now. It was 7 years ago that I decided to stop trying to get help with the house cleaning, and I've been doing it all myself ever since. And it's the best thing that could have happened. All I needed was a system, and that's what many women don't have. They don't build systems. So, maybe on Friday, one week they clean the kitchen, but then next week they're doing something else, and then things don't get done in a specific rhythm. And that can make life at home very difficult because you never know what's going to come next. And you want to have a clean house. That's important because you want to have a healthy family. And it's very important to create that healthy environment. If you're staying at home, that's easier than if you're working outside of the home. But it's that transition that is going to have to be, for you, something that is planned. You have to think about your mindset, first of all. And then I think that for those of us who either stay at home or who are thinking of transitioning, you have to stop thinking about it as just staying home. Staying at home requires a level of flexibility that some people don't have. There are women who don't like to stay at home. They need structure, but you can create that structure as well. And I think that if you can think of yourself as a successful stay-at-home mother, you will see how wonderful that is, and how rewarding it is to be with your children every day, to see all of the milestones that don't come in a little, sheet of paper from the daycare. I worked for about 4 years while my son was between the ages of 4 and 8 years old. I went back to work. I stayed with him until he was 4 years old. Then I went back to work and worked until he was 2 months shy of turning 8 years old. And those were the most chaotic years of my life. I would not wish that on anybody. And by the time he was 7 or 8, I decided, no, I'm going to cut back. I worked part-time for about a year. That still wasn't enough. I wanted to stay at home full-time. So that's what I did. And I was very blessed and very fortunate to be in a position to do that, because my husband had a job that could support all of us. But a lot of women are not in that position. So it's even more important to have that structure if you're going to be in a position that you'll be working from home or working part-time, whatever your situation is. It doesn't matter. You can still be successful at home as a stay-at-home mother or as part-time working mother. And one thing that I did when I was working for those 4 years and working part-time, I put systems in place before I made the transition to stay at home full-time. So what did I do? I had my days were set. So I worked 3 days a week and I stayed at home 2 days a week. So every Tuesday I would do all of the house cleaning. I would do it that day while my son was at school, because he was already school age. And on Thursdays, I would do all of my shopping. I prefer to go to the grocery store without children. So that's what I did. Every Thursday, I would go to the grocery store and refill the house, the pantry, the fridge, the freezer, so that we had everything planned. And that was also the day when I planned the meals for the week. So I had a set system. I was thinking about what would make my life easier. On Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I used to go to work, and I would still be at home when my son came home from school. So that was one way that I had to spend more time with him while still working at the same time. So there are many ways to fill up your time. If you work from home, that was not something that could be done back when I was working in 2016, pre-pandemic. People were not working from home in human resources where I worked. So that was not a thing. If you can work from home, that makes it so much easier, but you still need to think about, when are you going to do your laundry? What is your schedule going to be? I have a laundry schedule that I put in place years ago. Every Monday, I wash the darks. Every Tuesday, I wash my son's bedding. Every Wednesday, I wash towels and whites, because all of my towels are white. So I combine them and make one load out of them. And then every Thursday, darks again. And every Friday, I wash all of my bedding. So everything gets done. But I put that in place before I even made the transition to stay at home full time. So you need to be intentional about what you are going to do with your time. It's very easy, and we know this. You want to scroll your phone. It's so much easier than paying attention to everything that's happening around you at home, because you feel so overwhelmed. And I've been there, which is why I can speak to it with authority, because it's very difficult to imagine, if I'm in a place in my mind right now where I don't want to get up and do that. I'm tired. I didn't sleep well. Maybe you have a baby and you haven't been sleeping well at night. you're not in a place where you want to take care of the house. And that's when you need to have systems in place so that even if that happens to you a few times, your house is not going to be a complete mess. So if you're doing your evening routines, your morning routines, your house is going to clean itself. So to speak. You still have to do the work, but it won't get as out of hand as if you just let things go. So, you need to have that mindset shift that needs to happen when you're staying at home, when you're preparing to stay at home. One thing that I used to struggle with a lot in that mindset shift that I needed to have was that my worth was tied to my income. If I wasn't bringing in an income anymore, who was I? Was I still valuable to my family? And there is so much value in a stay-at-home mom, not only from the things that we do, but from the things that we are as mothers, as wives, as women who are trying to do the best for our families. And all of us want that. We want to be the best that we can be. And there are ways to achieve that. There are ways to become the best mother, the best wife, the best housekeeper, because that's important too. And there are systems that you can put in place to get there. So you need to have that mindset shift that you're going to, I keep saying a lot. I might edit this out, I don't know. So if you think it's too much, let me know down in the comments and I'll try to be better next time. But that mindset shift is important, and you need to have that. You need to feel valuable in this role that you have chosen and that you are so fortunate to have, because a lot of women simply don't have the choice, especially these days with the economy the way that it's been. So if you have the ability to stay at home, if you're thinking about quitting your job and staying at home, there is a way to have success. You do not have to be scattered. You do not have to be unsuccessful. You do not have to live in a messy house. You can have everything that you want to have for your children, for yourself, for your husband. And one thing that I did as well, I started small. I started with doing 1 day of laundry a week, and then that expanded. Then I created my system. I started very small with just doing a kitchen reset at night, back when I was still working, and making sure that that got done every night. I had to be disciplined, and that's something that you will find. But that's something that can be learned. If you weren't taught that as a child, if you didn't have chores, I didn't grow up with chores. So by the time I became a homemaker and a wife and a mother, I had to teach myself how to do that. You don't need to do that anymore. You can have people teach you how to be disciplined. And the best way to do that is to make things simple. Do not try to change everything at once. I don't know if you've ever gone on a diet, but if you have, you try to change your exercise routine, you try to change your eating habits, you try to change everything at once, and then you're overwhelmed, and 5 days later you're burned out and you don't want to do anything else anymore. So you go and get some fast food, you don't work out, and everything that you had planned simply doesn't happen. You can do that at home. There is burning out. There is a way to just do everything at once, and then the next day you don't even want to get out of bed. And that can happen if you work, and that can happen if you stay at home. So don't do that. Start small. That's another point. Don't try to be perfect. And that's something that I used to struggle with a lot, with perfectionism. I don't as much anymore, because I know that housework done incorrectly still blesses my family. And that's something that I choose to believe. Even if I'm just doing a Swiffer to dust the house and I'm not doing the damp dusting, which I think is the correct way to dust a house. There are times when I just don't have the time, or I don't have the willingness, or I'm tired, or something else has happened that doesn't let me do that. A Swiffer is perfectly fine. Is it correct? Not as much, but does it still get the dust off things? Yes, it does. Not perfectly, but it still does what it's supposed to do. So start small. Don't try to do everything at once. Don't try to be perfect. We don't all have to be Martha Stewart. And even though I love her, she's like one of my icons that I love to consume things from. But it could be very difficult to reach that level of perfection, especially if you're just starting out as a stay-at-home mother or if you're just transitioning into becoming one. So make sure that you change your mindset first. That's going to drive everything else. You are valuable. Your family is fortunate to have you. You have made this huge decision to put your career on hold to take care of your children, which is very valuable. They're going to grow up with a mother who is there all the time, who is there for every milestone, who is going to be a part of their friendships, of their development, of who they become as children and who they become as adults. You're going to be there for all of it. And there's nothing more valuable than that. And that's what I found. My son is going to be 18 this year, and he's going off to college in the fall, and he's very successful. He is very disciplined. He's an athlete. He gets straight A's in school. He's going to one of the best colleges in our state, and he's going to be successful in his life because of those things that my husband and I were able to teach him growing up. And I think that a big part of that was that he had a mother at home to teach him and to guide him and to be with him. So staying at home, I think, is the best way to raise a family. If you are still not able to do that, you can get to a point where that will happen for you. You have to budget, and that is going to be part of my content as well. How do you budget to become a stay-at-home mother? How do you change your lifestyle to make sure that that can happen? So I have a lot of things planned, and I'm very happy to be back. And I've been building the Happy Homemaker to be a place that is relatable, that is open, that is informative in who you can be as a stay-at-home mother. If you're trying to transition, if you're already a stay-at-home mom and you're overwhelmed and you don't know what to do, I want to build videos and to build content that will help you get those milestones done in your life and as a woman who stays at home. And it's very possible to have success. That's the point that I want to drive home the most. It doesn't have to be chaotic. It doesn't have to be difficult like it was for me when I first started. I had to put a plan in place. I had to have my systems. And now I have a very peaceful home, and it's very easy to take care of. And I don't have small children like some of you probably do. So you have to be flexible with what you expect from your home, from yourself, from your children, from your husband. And that's something else that I'm going to talk about here on this channel, is how to have a marriage that can thrive. My husband and I have been married for 24 years, and it only gets better. I love being married. I am so happy to be sharing my life with someone who knows me, who supports me, who wants the best for me. And I can teach other women how to have that, because I wasn't born knowing all of it. I had to learn all of it. And I can teach now that I've had all of this life experience, that I've had everything that the Lord has allowed me to have. So if you're able to put down in the comments, tell me if you're a stay-at-home mom right now. Tell me if you are planning on becoming one. Do you have any hesitation about becoming a stay-at-home mom? Like, what worries you in becoming one? Or what have you struggled with as a stay-at-home mother if you are already one? I would love to hear from you in the comments. If you think that this is the kind of content that would be interesting to you, hit that subscribe button, and I hope to see you here next time. Thanks.